Think about the moment your salary hits your account. A notification appears on your phone. You open the app, see your balance, and for a few seconds, it feels as though everything is fine. Then the rent is deducted. The credit card payment goes out. Your phone installment, internet, insurance, streaming services, car expenses. Before you have even decided what you want to do that month, your money has already started flowing elsewhere. The interesting part is that none of these payments appeared that morning. You made some of those decisions a few months ago and others several years ago. But when payment day arrives, they all confront today's income at the same time. That is why sometimes our past self spends our salary before we do. Your present self works, gets tired, and earns money, but you use part of that money to settle the cost of decisions you made in the past, and you do not necessarily have to be in debt for this to happen. Even someone who never takes out a loan may have their income divided up before it reaches their account. High rent, subscriptions, possessions that require maintenance, and expensive habits do the same thing. The money reaches your account, but the portion you can genuinely decide what to do with is much smaller than the number you see on the screen. That is why financial comfort cannot be explained by how much you earn alone. What really matters is how much of your income you are still free to make decisions about. When we buy something, we usually look at a single number, the price we will pay at checkout. But some things actually have two different prices. The first is the purchase price. The second is the cost of keeping them in your life. Imagine moving into a larger home. At first, the calculation seems fairly simple. Your old rent was this much, and your new rent is that much. As long as you can afford the difference, it seems as though there is no problem. But after a few weeks, some corners of the house begin to look empty. Your old rug looks too small. The curtains do not fit. The empty room needs a desk. Heating costs rise. Cleaning takes longer. After a while, you realize that the cost of your new home is not limited to the difference in rent, because the new home gradually begins to build a new lifestyle around itself. Something similar happens with a car. The purchase price is only the entry fee. Then come fuel, maintenance, insurance, taxes, parking, and tires. But the hidden costs do not end there. As the car becomes more expensive, where you park it may start to matter more. A small scratch may bother you much more. Delaying maintenance may start to feel like a much greater risk. In other words, we do not only give money to certain things, we also give them our attention, energy, and mental space. This does not mean that owning a good home or a beautiful car is wrong. Things that genuinely make life easier are valuable. The problem is seeing only the first bill attached to a decision and ignoring everything that follows. At the moment of purchase, we pay the price of the product. Once it enters our lives, we continue paying for the system that forms around it. But the greatest hidden cost is not always money. Sometimes when we buy something, we are not really trying to buy the product. We are trying to buy the person we hope to become. A new tablet is not just a tablet. It can seem like the beginning of a version of ourselves who works more consistently, keeps up with their notes, and is always productive. A gym membership is not just a membership. It can feel like proof that we are about to become a disciplined and healthy person who works out 4 days a week. A professional coffee machine is not just a kitchen appliance either. It can represent the dream of becoming someone who enjoys peaceful mornings, makes great coffee at home, and lives with greater care and intention. There is nothing strange about wanting to invest in our future selves. We may all want to become healthier, more productive, more knowledgeable, or more creative. The problem is that instead of actually building that change, we sometimes buy the possessions we imagine the changed person would own. We buy running shoes before developing the habit of running. We replace our desks before creating a consistent work system. We fill our kitchens with equipment before making time to cook. The moment of purchase makes us feel as though we are making progress. A decision has been made. The payment has been completed. The first piece of the life we imagined has arrived at our home. But after a few weeks, our normal routine returns. The tablet is not charged. We do not go to the gym. We never open the second section of the course we purchased. What is lost here is not only money. Sometimes, every time we look at that possession, we also see a promise we made to ourselves, but failed to keep. Perhaps that is why letting go of things we do not use is not as easy as we think. Selling something does not feel like simply giving up an object. It feels as though we are also giving up on the person we once believed we would become. The unused object sitting in the closet quietly keeps the same possibility alive. Maybe someday. But sometimes, what we call someday is nothing more than an old enthusiasm that is still taking up space in our home. So what happens when we actually get something we want? At first, we notice it immediately. When you first begin regularly ordering food to your home, you think about how incredibly convenient it is. When you upgrade to a faster phone, the difference is obvious. When you buy a comfortable chair, you suddenly realize just how bad the old one was. But as time passes, that feeling of novelty fades. The new phone is no longer the new phone. It is simply your phone. The new home is no longer a special place that makes you happy every morning. It simply becomes the home you live in. The human mind adapts to new circumstances. In psychology, this is known as hedonic adaptation. The effect of a change that initially excites us or makes us happy can become ordinary over time. The important thing to notice here is not that happiness decreases, it is that the new level begins to feel normal. Something you once considered a luxury may eventually become a necessity that is difficult to give up. Our standard of living usually rises not through one major decision, but through repeated small choices. Taking a taxi once will not destroy your budget, but when you begin taking taxis for every distance you could walk, it stops being a one-time expense. Ordering dinner for one evening is not a problem either. But when ordering food becomes the automatic solution every time you are busy, preparing food at home eventually begins to feel unnecessarily difficult. People do not want to give up the comfort they have become accustomed to. Something that entered your life as a convenience can gradually become a standard whose absence feels uncomfortable. This process becomes even more noticeable when your income increases. Wanting to live better is completely normal. But if every increase in income immediately becomes a more expensive lifestyle, your room to move does not expand, even though you earn more. You make more money, but you become responsible for maintaining a more expensive life. Then one day, even though you earn far more than you used to, you wonder why you still do not feel comfortable. The answer is simple. Your income has grown, but the life you consider normal has grown alongside it. And our choices are not the only things shaping this new normal. The people around us also influence what we consider enough and what we consider lacking. On social media in particular, we see the results of other people's lives. We see the new car, but we do not know how many years of loan payments it required. We see the vacation photos, but we do not see the credit card statement waiting to be paid afterward. We see the beautifully furnished home, but the weekends spent working to pay for it never appear in the frame. The life in front of us looks complete and problem-free, but we are only watching the part that is being shown. When we compare ourselves, we do not account for the hidden costs. We see what someone owns, but we usually do not know what they gave up, how much debt they took on, or which options they lost in order to obtain it. As a result, certain products can stop being needs and become symbols of adequacy. I should own one of these by now too. I should not still be using this at my age. If everyone around me can afford it, why can't I? Most people do not consciously think about showing off to others when they shop. The feeling is usually quieter, not falling behind, not appearing inadequate, not becoming disconnected from the social circle you belong to. Sometimes, before something provides us with comfort, buying it makes us feel socially secure. It gives us a sign that our life is progressing at the pace it is supposed to. The product is no longer just a product. It becomes part of the story we want to believe about ourselves. That is why talking only about mathematics is often not enough when discussing spending. People are not always buying the object itself. Sometimes they are trying to buy the life that object represents. And today, turning that feeling into a purchase is easier than ever. We do not even need to leave the house to buy something. Our card details and address are already saved. The product arrives at our door that day or the next. If the price is high, it is divided into several installments. The decision to buy and the moment when we genuinely feel the money leaving us become separated. These systems make life easier, but they also shorten the time we have to think. In the past, for a desire to turn into a purchase, you had to go to the store, see the product, carry it, and pay at the register. Now there are only a few seconds between wanting something and ordering it. During those few seconds, we usually do not consider questions such as, will I actually use this? Do I already own something similar? Will I still want this a week from now? Because the system is designed not to help us question our decision, but to help us complete it as quickly as possible. This is where purchases that seem insignificant individually begin to accumulate. One food order is not very expensive. A single app subscription does not seem like much. One installment does not immediately destroy the budget. But the total that appears at the end of the month may not be the result of one major mistake. It may be the result of repeating the same sentence throughout the month. It won't hurt just this once. That is why financial stability cannot be built through willpower alone. Sometimes placing small obstacles between yourself and a purchase is far more effective. Removing your saved card, leaving the product in your cart overnight, turning off notifications from shopping apps. These actions do not make you more disciplined or a better person. They simply make it slightly harder for a desire lasting only a few minutes to become a payment lasting several months. Because many desires disappear not because they are prevented, but because they are given enough time. But the issue is not limited to what we buy. As the number of things we own increases, so does the number of small tasks we have to manage. The subscription that needs to be canceled. The old phone we keep meaning to sell. The chair that needs to be repaired. The installment date we must remember. The boxes we do not use but cannot bring ourselves to throw away. Each one seems insignificant by itself, but each one leaves a small, unfinished file open in our minds. Financial pressure has a similar effect. When only a few days remain until the end of the month, Your mind focuses more on upcoming payments than on long-term plans. The electricity bill, the minimum credit card payment, the approaching car maintenance, an unexpected medical expense. During a period like this, sitting down and creating a 5-year financial plan is not easy. Instead of designing the future, the mind tries to solve the next problem. That is why financial comfort sometimes begins not with a more detailed spreadsheet, but with reducing the number of things you have to manage. Knowing how many subscriptions you have, seeing how many installments remain, removing things you do not use from your life, reducing the number of small decisions you have to make every day. The financial benefit of simplifying your life is not limited to the money earned by selling possessions. The real gain is reducing the number of unfinished files running in the background of your life. When there are fewer things to manage, you have more mental space to think about your money. Most people define their financial goal with a number. If I earn this much, I will finally feel comfortable. But if they have never considered what kind of life would be enough for them, their expenses may reach the same level once they achieve their target income. As income increases, the house gets bigger, the car is replaced, habits become more expensive. After a while, earning more money only makes it possible to maintain a more expensive life. But the most valuable thing money can buy is not always a product. Sometimes it is time. Sometimes it is a sense of security. Sometimes it is the ability to say no to something you do not want. Not having to accept a job you dislike immediately. Not having your entire life fall apart when an unexpected expense appears. Not panicking when your income decreases for a few months. Being able to make room in both your schedule and your budget to spend time with the people you love. None of these things may look like wealth from the outside. They do not stand out in photographs. They are not easy to display on social media, but their impact on a person's life is greater than that of many expensive possessions. That is why, when buying something, it is not enough to ask, "What will this give me?" You also need to ask another question. Which future option will this decision take away from me? A new installment payment may reduce your ability to travel. Higher rent may reduce your courage to change jobs. A lifestyle that is expensive to maintain may increase your fear of losing income. Owning something does not directly take away your freedom, but if everything you own becomes a recurring obligation, your room to move may quietly shrink without you noticing. The solution is not to stop buying things altogether, nor is it to eliminate every expense that brings enjoyment to your life. Some expenses genuinely save time. Some possessions make it easier to create and produce. Some experiences help you create unforgettable memories with the people you love. The point is not to live the cheapest life possible. The point is to understand what you are giving your money, time, space, and attention in exchange for. During your next purchase, do not only ask yourself whether you want the product. Do you currently have a life in which you will genuinely use it? Does the product arrive by itself, or will it bring new expenses and responsibilities with it? Will it still improve your life several months from now, or will it simply become a new level you get used to? You do not need to change your entire life overnight. You can look through a single drawer. You can review one group of subscriptions. You can examine just one category of spending. Do not try to punish yourself or blame yourself for the choices you made in the past. Simply identify the decisions that no longer fit your life today. Because not every decision you made in the past has to remain valid in the future. The fact that you once wanted something does not mean you have to carry it forever. Financial comfort is not measured only by the number in your account. how much control you have over your future is at least as important as that number. Real wealth is sometimes not about owning more things. It is about being obligated to fewer things,